Welcome. I'm Sally A. Illingworth, and today I'm excited to be here with Terry Roberts, who is the founder and chief executive officer of WhiteHawk, and Trent Primmer, who is the head of trading at Barclay Pearce Capital. We're here to have a conversation about what's happening with cybersecurity in Australia, and what it means for integrity and investment. So, to get started, Terry, it'd be great to hear from you about what cybersecurity actually means in 2020 versus what it maybe meant in 2000, and how has trust evolved in a digital world since then?
So it's a 360, right? In the last 20 years, we've really gone from the information age to the digital age. And as a result, all of our risks are now a 360 digital age risk. And that impacts government, industry, academia, society, economies as never before, right? So it's an exciting time, but it's dramatically different. So people who think what they did 5, 10, 20 years ago is good enough are are literally in a buggy, right? That with nothing going on.
So there's no one sort of type of entity or person, if you like, that is isolated from cybersecurity and the risks in that space.
Honestly, if you're doing anything, any kind of work that is connected at all, I mean, even if you're working in the trades, right? You're documenting your clients, their data, the financials, who's where, who's doing what, the ordering of your equipment, it's all online. We're all in. We moved everything as a global economy and all of our governments online, 100%. Do people even write anymore? Right. I,
So what?
I want to go back a little bit to the trust thing. And the thing I'll end on is end to end trust. So instead of trying to make everything end to end trust now in 2020, we need to decide what are those critical areas where we have to have it and then ensure it. And everything else we just back up.
So taking a very targeted and informed approach to how
Yes.
approaching this situation. And in terms of thinking about governments as well as enterprise, what would you say are some of the common challenges or the biggest challenge that most of them have when it comes to being cyber secure? And how does that potentially impact their considerations for foreign relationships and international relationships?
So I think a big problem is government and industry executives think of it as something the IT guy or girl can do, right? And it's not. It's since your mission and your business are reliant on it, you need to own it, right? It can't be something that is delegated and forgotten. It's a part of your mission and business objectives, and it's part of that prioritization. The other thing is it's not security, it's resilience.
Mm.
It's the ability to operate through an event because you're going to have an event, but you need to protect your jewels and you can't bring you to your knees and you have to be able to operate within a couple of days. That's what you're focused on, resilience.
Yeah, I love that. I love that highlighting of resilience. I think you're absolutely right because I think it's easy for us to think maybe we can get all these cybersecurity issues to go away, but it seems like that's certainly not the reality. So, with
Yeah.
Whitehawk, Terry, just sort of walk us through what problem has Whitehawk set out to resolve, and what are you doing with Whitehawk?
So I think very simply, it's leveraging publicly available data sets globally, AI baked tradecraft, risk tradecraft analytics, bringing those together into an online platform so that you can identify your risks, prioritize your risks, and mitigate your risks affordably and at scale.
Yeah, well, that's fascinating. It sounds like a very holistic approach to cybersecurity.
It is because I didn't want to solve something in the eaches. you know, Solving one part, right, doesn't help regular businesses, state and local organizations. We need to be helping those who don't have CIOs, who don't have CISOs, who don't have sophisticated teams so that they can take smart action today.
So, Trent, thinking about how cybersecurity has evolved over the last, say, 20 years, and what WhiteHawk is doing, for example, what opportunities do you think cybersecurity is creating for investors, particularly in Australia?
So, from our perspective, obviously, cybersecurity in the tech sector, tech being probably the largest growth sector for Aussie investors, well, investors worldwide, really. You look at spending on technology and cybersecurity, particularly from a government perspective. I mean, domestically in Australia, we've got 1.4 billion investment over the next 10 years on cybersecurity. 31 million to enhance the ability of the Australian Signals Directorate to disrupt cybercrime offshore. We got 35 million to deliver a new cyber threat sharing platform. We see cybersecurity for investors being a massive growth and value capture opportunity, probably over the next 5 to 10 years. We've got an emergence of technology moving to cloud and data storage as opposed to your on-premise storage. So, we see a massive focus on cybersecurity moving forward, and companies like WhiteHawk in particular as a value capture for investors.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And would you say, Trent, that considering investing in a cybersecurity business is quite a new thought for the average investor?
I think so. Having been used to on-premise technology, and you go back to even 10 years ago when we had Nokia brick phones, and now you've got smartphones with all these new capabilities. A lot of people seem to want to hold on to old technology, but you're starting to see a pretty rapid shift, particularly from COVID, where people, even in their 80s and 90s, are starting to take a grasp and learn new ways of using technology, like Zoom, for example. I've got grandparents that have used Zoom, and I never would have thought I'd see the day where they're using technology to interact with their grandkids and their great-grandkids. You just never would have thought it. So, it is definitely, for some, a new sort of idea, but I think people will move pretty quick with it when they see the benefits and applications moving forward and how it can help us.
And I think the Australian government, through their approach to investment in the cybersecurity space, is certainly highlighting that there are investment opportunities there, and it's a growing sector. From your perspective, Terry, what do you think about the investment landscape for cybersecurity?
Well, first of all, I think it has limitless potential, but you need to think in a very focused way. Instead of what has grown the cybersecurity market over the past decade, which is an additive approach of capabilities, you really need to start looking at those companies that are doing the next generation game-changing kinds of technologies that are creating that end-to-end trust that we were talking about, and that are making things less complex. We've made it a very complex environment. Now we need to simplify, but make it scalable. And I think SaaS platforms are very effective. I also think there are managed service providers, right, that are integrating capabilities and then providing it as a service. So that is simplifying it for the client, right? Anytime you can take out complexity, you can add seamless automation, you can advance the technology so that I like to say, skip echeloning to that next generation of capability, which allows you to get rid of a ton of legacy capabilities. So those are the kinds of things we should be looking for and investing in, because they will move us forward, and they're also scalable, extensible, right? And more affordable, which means more people can buy them.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting. And I've loved hearing about what WhiteHawk is doing, and also your perspective, Trent, from an investment standpoint, because I think there's certainly a lot of growing opportunities for enterprise as well as investors. So thank you very much, Terry Roberts and Trent Primmer, for joining me today. And I recommend anyone who's interested in cybersecurity investment opportunities that you do reach out to Barclay Pearce Capital today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.